First, thank you so much for sitting down with us, Mr. Secretary. This is, such an important issue. It's a big issue, though, and it's an issue that you've dealt with even before coming into this latest appointment. Talk a little bit about wage theft from your perspective and where it fits in your priority list here at the Department of Labor.
Yeah, certainly it's a big issue here at the DOL, and it's not a big issue on the tips of every American's tongue. I mean, I think when they think of theft, they think of shoplifting, they think of people breaking and entering, they think of other crimes like that. And wage theft is very prevalent all across America. As people just celebrate the holidays, there's probably a good chance somebody at the kitchen table was involved in one way or another in wage theft. They didn't realize it.
Why is this such a big crime to combat?
Well, because it's so spread out across the country. I mean, we do about 20,000 cases a year, and right before this interview I asked, what percentage do you think we capture of it? And there's really no way of telling that. We're trying to figure out what the data is, but it's such a big issue. It happens in immigrant communities where people go to work and they're promised a certain wage and they get shortchanged the wage, and sometimes they'll report it to us and sometimes they won't because they're afraid. It happens in communities of colors all across America. It happens with women all across America. It happens with young people all across America. It really is one of those things that, smaller employers, sometimes bigger employers, taking advantage of a situation where somebody's working for them and they figure they can just shortchange them on their dollars and their money. In some cases, they don't pay them at all.
We don't think about wage theft in the same way that we think about other crimes. We don't treat it, I think, in the same sort of seriousness. You don't go into a police station and say that my employer is stealing from me.
I think there's a couple reasons for that. I think one is that employees who are shortchanged money sometimes think that's just the way it is. I worked for somebody, I got paid less than I was supposed to, I don't know what the ramifications or repercussions are, so they just kind of live like that. Other folks, don't think of it on a daily basis. As I said earlier, they don't think of it as like it's your next door neighbor, it's you, it's your friend that got your wages stolen from you. And I think that the issues around wage theft can be so different. I mean, it can be somebody working for a roofing contractor, if you will, just using that as an example, and realizing that, we're going to pay you 50 cents on the dollar that we promised you. It could be somebody working in a convenience store where they don't even realize, well, we go in and do an investigation and we find out that they shortchange everyone, and then somewhere down the road somebody gets a check for $24,000 from the Department of Labor wage and hour because they were shortchanged over a long period of time. And I don't think it's front and center, and that's why this interview is so important for people to understand that you should track your hours, you should track your wages, make sure you're getting paid what you promised and what you deserve, because you work for that money. It's hard-earned money. And it also is bad for good employers in the country that work above the play with the rules and do all the things they're supposed to do, and then a bad employer comes along and undercuts everyone, and the whole industry they're in gets painted with the same brush.
One of the problems that we see as we look at data across the United States when it comes to complaints, a lot of these complaints take years to resolve, and then enforcement is spotty as well. There are a lot of ways that employers or companies who are engaging in wage theft are able to sort of skirt that enforcement and get away with not paying those wages that have been deemed and judged to be, owed to these employees. Yeah. Talk about, what do you do about that? I mean, the enforcement part of it seems to be lagging.
Well, that explains the magnitude of the problem. I mean, right there alone. I mean, what we do, we work across agencies. We work with local authorities in cities and states all across the country. We have our own division here at the Wage and Hour, and sometimes the problems, we're always going to investigate, and sometimes we have to build a case too. It's not just somebody puts a complaint in and we say, oh, that's valid, and off we go. We have to build a case, just like any other case that's in criminal court. We have to prove that the worker was, shortchanged, that the worker didn't get the full payment of wages. We have to check payroll records and stubs and do interviews and investigation and all that. So it does take a little bit of time. But we also, in the last 4 years, quite honestly, the Department of Labor wage and hour have been shortchanged on budget money. And when you think about what we do here at the Department of Labor, not everyone in the world knows what we do, but we impact every single worker in America one way or the other, whether it's over, whether it's wage and hour, whether it's safety on the job site, whether it's pension, whatever it might be. And wage and hour in one of those areas, quite honestly, has been one of my major focuses with Congress to staff up, because if you get shortchanged dollars, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter who you are. And it really, we should be doing more as far as trying to reclaim this.
You asked for more resources. Earlier this year, you asked for more funding for 2023. Where would that money go?
That money would go into probably, hiring staff, enforcement, investigators, making sure we have enough investigators to handle every single claim we have. I also think we have to do more work with talking about what we do and trying to reach more Americans as best as possible to let people know the importance of coming forward. Also informing them of their rights. I think we have a lot of folks that are here, maybe they're working on a green card, that are afraid to come forward thinking that they can't come forward. They're working on a green card. No, you absolutely can. You think in some communities, like, what will the ramifications be if I come forward against my employer? That I'll get fired. I mean, all of those things. So working, counseling, and other things like that, we'd be putting that money towards. I think that when you think about wage theft, I mean, you're breaking into somebody's wallet. You're breaking into their home. You're taking money out of their pocketbook, out of their pocket, out of their wallet, off their table. That's what wage theft's all about. It's no different than somebody sneaking into your home and stealing something, the TV out of the living room. You're doing the same thing, except you're really hurting that family and that family's ability to be able to live a decent life.
We talk about the delays. We talk about how long it takes to get through this process. The old adage, justice delayed is justice denied. What do you say to people who've been waiting years to get wages that are owed to them, that have been stolen from them?
No, unfortunately, some of these cases are long. I don't have any specifics on that, but certainly here at the Department of Labor, my wage and hour administrator is working hard with her team to do amazing work here. And certainly I would just say hang in there. I mean, our job is to do as quickly as we can to recoup the wages and the money that you're owed. And we're going to continue to fight for you every single day. And just know that we're fighting for you. And I'll apologize for the longevity of a case, but again, you have to see what the particulars around the case are. The ideal situation for me is we find out there's an employer out there undercutting people, and we bring out a violation against them, and they fix it right away, and they don't even bother going to court. They want to fix what they lost. That's the best case scenario. Unfortunately, we have a lot of arrogant businesses in this country that will not take care of their workers.